We're working hard on a few different initiatives for 2011. The first thing that we're working on is dealing with our state budget and the impact that we have here locally. Because when the state catches a cold, we have a flu, and some of our colleagues pass away, right? Some of our partners pass away. We can't have that happen. Westchester County, yes, has that moniker that says it has the highest property tax in the country. Now, I was with Josette Pauletta, who's the assessor in Austin yesterday, who reminded me that's only true, Ken, except when you put in the values of the property. And then we dropped to number 34. All right. Now, we still don't want to have number one in anything, but let's be balanced about our approach so that we can understand and really address issues. We started with this really big number last year that said there was $166 million of deficit in Westchester County. Now we know that turned out not to be true. It didn't. We told you it wasn't true. We said we got to be good. We have to work hard. We have to work together. We always have to analyze. We always have to understand and make adjustments. But that $166 million was the worst case scenario, and that's fine to plan for the worst case scenario. But it wasn't accurate. And people made adjustments because of that number and said, wait a minute, I'm a partner. I want to be part of the team, so I will take a reduction in the amount of money that I'm taking from Westchester County because you guys have this big problem that's in front of you. When I walked in today, someone asked me about the sales tax and said, Ken, you know, are we doing better in Westchester County? And I said, you know what? Over the last 6 months, we had a 6% tax increase, sales tax revenue increase from our projected budget. That was last year. Last year, we projected it was going to be a 4.4% increase in sales tax, and that was in the recessionary times and the most difficult times. We were wrong, right? I tell you, we were wrong. It really was 5.2 what it turned out to be. We actually made more money in sales tax than we projected. We were very conservative for the second or third year in a row. That helps us keep a AAA bond rating, not just the fact that the towns and villages pay us up front, right? Because Al Gotta and Chuck Lesnick would tell me that that's the case. But more importantly, that it is because of good fiscal management from the board side and the county executive side, current and previous, not just one, all of them. Right, Al? Right? Right. So now we're at a particular point where we had our budget. And we're not going to go through the budget battles because we'll be here for another 20 minutes, but the bottom line out of that was that we were able to double the tax relief that was proposed to negative 2.2. We reduced spending by $30 million and we reduced the workforce by 10%. Sounds like a good day, right? From a business perspective. But more importantly, we were able to shift priorities inside of that world and still be able to continue to invest in the valuable services that we in Westchester County count on each and every day. Those valuable services are whether they're mental health services, whether they're shelter services, whether they're part of our safety net. Investing in those are just as important as making sure that we're taking care of the number one priority, which was to do some reduction and give people some property tax relief. But it doesn't make sense if we give you a tax cut and your local municipality has to raise taxes because of certiorarities, which is the collaborative assessment piece. Now I want to say one more thing about that. We collect $4 billion in Westchester County, not the county, from all the municipalities in sales, in property taxes, $4 billion. But we also give back $55 million in tax certiorarities a year. We got to fix that problem. Not that we want to give money, we don't want to give money back, we want to charge the right amount of money. I want to use that same formula in something that we're calling our Business Advisory Council. Now, it's not something I got to make up. We already did it. It was a piece of legislation that I initiated when I was on the board before as a chairman of a committee, and that was enacted this year. And what we are expected to do with that, under the leadership of of Chairman Lyndon Williams, and Chairwoman Judy Myers is to take that and to use that to be able to come up with the creative solutions that are necessary to get us through this situation in a partnership mode. Because if we look around the country and we see the things that are happening around the country, we realize that when we put everyone around the table, we take away their badges, we take away their titles, and say, what's the problem? Let's figure out a way to fix it. We have great minds here in Westchester County that could come together. And whether they are public employees who are being scourged for no apparent reason, except people think that there's a problem that they've caused, which is thus not true, or our valuable service partners, or our tax base, or our business community. We just have to sit down together, put things to the side, and work through problems. And I understand, as the chairman of the board, that's part of my job to make sure that that happens with my colleagues on the board. And we have done that so well over the years. Now, there's a group of people out there that are watching the world and want to go through the partisan part of the politics. And certainly when there's election years come up, you know, that gets more partisan. But the reality is that on both sides of the aisle, no matter who's been in charge, the legislature has always, in the county, has always had an understanding of collegiality. That we don't have to throw bombs back and forth between each other because we're the legislators, and we're the legislature, and we're the governing authority of the county. But we're going to have this Business Advisory Council that works with it. And I am telling you now that I'm going to call Bill Mooney and say, Bill, you tell me who that chair should be, because I believe strongly that the county association has to lead that effort. They have to lead that effort and be able to reach out to our partners. But all our stakeholders are going to be there to be able to work through these problems. Now, if I don't say this thing about the things that are going on in around the country, whether it's in our state here or whether it's out in our traveling, let's see, in Illinois, where our particular legislators are hiding out, right? From a state, no, they're hiding out in Illinois, right? Wisconsin's the state, but they're in Illinois. You know what? We have to get past this thing where we have people saying ideas on high. You know what? I'm an elected official, and Bob, thanks for reminding me again that, you know, when I got elected first, it was with 81% of the vote. All right? I kind of have a mandate. The last time, I got elected with 100% of the vote on 4 party lines, including 2 that the county executive are on. So I look around and say, you know what? We have to work together to try to deal with the issues. Because the issues, as we found out through this process, -1, -2, tell me how much that really meant to each one's pocketbook. Someone walked up in our process. 2,000 people came out to public hearings. 2,000 people came out. The first one that we had in Yonkers, we had to move because when we first did it in Yonkers, when I got elected, you know, they were like, well, Ken, you know, you're just newly elected. Let's do the public hearing in Yonkers because it'd be nice, you know, for people in your district to see you. I'm like, that's great. So we had it in the room in the library in the big auditorium, and 20 people showed up. So this time, we said, let's use a smaller room because we don't want to be in like a 200-seat auditorium and no one show up, right? So 300 people showed up in the room for 40 people. We had to move downstairs, and that was drama, right? You know, the last public hearing, and Bill Mooney and some of you, I know Amy and some of the other folks were there for that one, we had 750 to 800, 900 people. We had people out in the street. People couldn't get in the building. You know, that kind of thing. That's public access and public communication and letting us know what we should be doing. And those 2,000 people said, you know what, we want to save money. There is no one that doesn't want to save money, but just not this way. Let's make sure that we're doing smart. And Tom Bach, and I like to use his quote because it's nice when you make it up yourself, but you know, Tom Bach at that public hearing in White Plains said, right size, not cap size. And we have to continue to do that. So I'm counting on us working with our partners in the business community to deal with and work with our public employee unions, to work with everyone together to deal with the issues at hand. Tom DiNapoli, I happened to be with Tom DiNapoli maybe a week or so ago, before vacation, and Tom DiNapoli said that we pay out $7 billion in pensions a year, right? New York's pension fund is one of, if not the best run pension fund in the country. It is funded at 107%. We're not like New Jersey, who's underfunded their pension system, or Illinois or California, blah, 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 right? But we have to do some things differently. But Tom DiNapoli also said something that was even more important. The average pension in the state of New York is $14,000. That's the average one, not the ones that we see from some of our uniformed services that are extreme for anybody that looks and says, how do you make twice as much in pension than you did when you were working, right? And we have to answer that question, honestly. But more importantly, out of the $7 billion, $5.6 billion stays in New York. Those people live in New York. That's $5.6 billion of people going to the store, $5.6 billion of people visiting your business, $5.6 billion of people going to your bank, $5.6 billion of people paying sales tax that go to each one of the municipalities. The last thing I want to mention is that I talked to the county executive about the things that we've been disagreeing on, and said, look, it is completely ridiculous to be arguing about 1% or 2% tax relief. Let's talk about the real issues that we need to talk about. Let's talk about being able to have mandate relief. Let's look, and that mandate relief, that means we have to do that together. That means we on the legislature and you in the executive branch work together to walk up and say to the state, how can we do things better? How can we collaborate and do things better? Westchester County has a ton of recognized programs, not just recognized in the state of New York, not just recognized in the United States, around the country, but recognized around the world as being leaders. Use that as an advantage so that when we go to HUD and say, HUD, you know, can we do something a little bit differently? HUD says, of course you can, Westchester, because you've already set the bar. You already have established that you can do things differently and make it work. But that means you have to have cooperation and understanding. And that means that when we disagree about something, that we don't just jump in the newspaper and the media and send out nasty grand press releases, etc. We start with a conversation. And Al Del Bello and Bill Mooney have all said to me always, Ken, you know, whatever kind of discussions you want to have, we're happy to have those. And the ones of you that are in here that know me well understand, A, there's nothing better I like than breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Right? I'll talk to you till, I'm blue in the face, which is difficult. But more importantly, I'm going to listen to what you have to say and make modifications that are based on what you're talking about, and not just talk it, but make it happen. I understand that we do not like people battling. We don't like it. But our job on the board is to help balance that. We're a check and balance. So, I'm looking forward to the questions that we're going to have. We're going to keep working together because it's important for Westchester County. And I will tell you this, no matter what people say about me or the county executive or anything like that, we all believe the same thing. That Westchester County is the best place to live, the best place to raise a family, and we got to make sure that we keep our businesses here. We got to make sure that we don't have people that are running away because they can't afford to live here, but we can't have the safety net destroyed to the place where none of us want to be here either. Thanks again.
Thank you.